So, hello, welcome everyone. I think we should
Hello,
start.
hello.
Hi, Pranavji. Good to have you. So, we have been touching upon the life of Pavitra Da, and in that continuum, I thought we could see a couple of videos today about him. And before we embark upon maybe taking up something that he has compiled, for example, conversations with Aurobindo, which we can think of taking later. Just a second. Yeah. So today I have two videos with us. Let us see. So all of this is of course available everywhere online. And these two were not in French, so I thought we can maybe enjoy these. So this is, yeah, first we can maybe go through a little bit of this, not whole. I can share the link later on and we can go through in our silences later. So this is remembering Pavitra on his birthday, 16 January. So I will pause here. I'll share the link. Of course, everyone can watch at their own convenience. This is 32 minutes long. Very, very interesting, I feel. And then there is something more I thought we can shortly again touch upon. This is only 2 minutes, and this maybe we can see all.
Cet homme est français.
Yeah.
Il fut parmi les premiers disciples de l'ashram. Philippe Saint-Hilaire, à l'ashram, on vous nomme Pavitra. Vous êtes le secrétaire général de l'ashram de Sri Aurobindo. C'est vous qui dirigez l'ashram?
Il n'y a qu'une personne qui dirige l'ashram. C'est la mère. Ou plutôt, c'est la mère et Sri Aurobindo qui dirigent l'ashram.
Comment la mère dirige-t-elle l'ashram?
Elle dirige l'ashram depuis sa création, en 1926. C'est à cette époque, après une expérience décisive dans son yoga, que Sri Aurobindo a décidé de mener une vie plus retirée. Et il a confié la direction spirituelle des disciples et l'organisation matérielle de l'ashram à la mère, en 1926.
Pavitra, pourquoi l'ashram est-il si confortable? Est-ce que vous n'avez pas l'impression que la recherche spirituelle devrait s'accompagner, disons, d'un peu plus d'austérité?
Ce n'est pas le confort que nous recherchons. Mais pour nous, dans l'avenir tout au moins, nous envisageons une vie qui soit belle, saine, harmonieuse. Nous ne rejetons aucune des conquêtes de la science et de la technique. Nous voulons seulement qu'elles soient employées par l'esprit, à leur place.
La mer.
Yeah. And then this last one, which I wanted to share because it has I am very interested in. Maybe we can take it up together. So this is a compilation of Pavitra's talks with Sri Aurobindo. It's come out as a book. It's called Conversations with Sri Aurobindo. So I'll share the PDF also on the WhatsApp group so that everyone can go ahead in their own convenient time. Plus, I thought we can also then start with this book also here, reading, taking a few excerpts in these sessions. So let us go through this one, again a short one, which we can maybe watch fully. Is it? Yeah. I would like us to look at it more closely. I don't know how to do it. Yeah. No, not very clear. Little one is better. So I'll just read it. Sri Aurobindo says, there is in us a region which is above space and time, immobile, immutable at first. It does not participate in the waves of emotions and thoughts. The first step is to center one's consciousness in this region and keep it there. This is mukti. So Sri Aurobindo, as we have read at other places also, that he says that in integral yoga, mukti or liberation from the egoistic consciousness is not the ultimate aim of the yoga, but the first step. And then after that, we can talk about, of course, transformation and the other stuff. But the first step is, and in this particular book, Conversations with Aurobindo, since Pavitra was already relatively very pure while when he started with Aurobindo, so he had many experiences, and then he was trying certain things, certain kind of ascension of the being, placing attention here or there, and that is what comes out in this book. Aurobindo guiding him step by step as to where to place the attention, and yes, this is happening right, or no, this should not happen this way. So all these practical guidance about, and of course to some of us it may not resonate at all, and it doesn't matter, but to whoever it may resonate with, I think it's very very helpful. So yeah, and then he says, in us, beyond our personality, the Purusha is seen. Now we can go ahead. He says that the Purusha unveils himself in successive stages. And first of all, he says he appears as the witness of actions and sensations, untouched, unalterable. Then he manifests as the giver of sanctions. He approves or refuses his consent to a movement of Prakriti, desire, or thought, or even action. Now, this is very practical for us, because if we have really suffered the turmoil of thoughts and feelings, and if we practice with ourselves, like we talk about, taking the witness stance, that I am the knowing that knows a thought, I am the looking that looks at an emotional upheaval going up and down. So when we take this stance and step back from that surface level of turmoil that is going on, and take again and again a stance as that consciousness which is looking at all these ups and downs and ups and downs, and all the movements, whether it is a desire, it's thought, feelings, good emotions, bad emotions, I am the one who is looking at those. So step by step we kind of take that stance. In the beginning, he says that it appears as the witnessing consciousness, that I am the one who looks at all these happenings of Prakriti. Then he says that slowly it gets revealed to us that I have the power to sanction or not sanction. So whether I take action according to a negative feeling or a negative thought, it is, the sanction is with me. Now I am not overpowered by those Prakritic influences, all the happenings in me, but I know that I have the power. I can take either a step ahead, or if it seems like a negative suggestion in the mind, I have the power to take a step back. So this slowly gets revealed to us that we have the power. And earlier that we were feeling so powerless, that was the time when we are not disentangled from this surface movement of thoughts, feelings, and sensations. But when even to a certain degree that we begin to disentangle, then we see that, oh, I can stop. I wanted to say this mean word to someone, but now I don't think it's a nice word and I should say that. So you look at it, and then because of that looking, you have the power to stop. So these two stages, and then let's see what is coming ahead. So again, this is very, very, I find it very important. That's why I really think it's very precious conversations with Sri Aurobindo. So he says, when such an order is given as the refusal to take part in a certain emotion. So I have all the time throughout the day 24/7, we see that we have thoughts coming out from outside which we think as our own. We have stories coming from outside which we again think as our own. We have all kind of disturbing emotions or triggers that cause us to suffer. So he says that when one is looking, when one has taken a little bit of stance as that witness, then we can refuse to take part in a certain emotion. अगर मुझे पता लग रहा है that this emotion is not beneficial for me to engage in, it could be jealousy, it could be competitiveness, it could be greed, clinging to someone, wanting to compete with somebody, proving that I am right, something of that sort. If it is coming inside, I can see it, having that witness consciousness, then I can refuse to take part in a certain emotion. Though the past is yet strong, it means that I am very habituated to walk on that particular dictate in my head. I have been doing that so many years of my life. So now stepping back appears a little bit weird, but I know it's the right thing to do. So the past is yet strong, the being turns away from that emotion. So now we have, although we are habituated to again enter that slippery slope and again fall a prey to those negative thoughts and suggestions, and yet we stop ourselves, and he says the being turns away from that emotion. आपने उसको बिल्कुल भी, like you did not give it the fuel that it wanted you to give. Then Purusha is the knower, and in him is the knowledge, in the sense that there is a knowing which knows that this is to be followed and this is not to be followed. So there is an active knowing in me because of that looking that is there. That this is dal mein kala, this is not dal. So this I can kind of discern. There is a discernment in that knowing. Then Purusha is the knower, and in him is the knowledge. Now he talks about how this knowledge has several forms. This knowledge has several forms. The lowest is intuition. So usually we think that intuition, we hardly have intuitive glimpses. But he says even intuition, and if we see the rungs of the ladder, intuition is the lowest. The lowest is intuition, that when we are in that witnessing stance and we know what is to be followed, this is wrong, this is right, what is to be followed, what is not to be followed. In that knowing, there also comes intuition. Because when the mind is not troubled too much by thoughts and emotions of all sorts, then the mind is like a receptacle for the higher knowledge to dawn. And intuition is one of the lower rungs of that higher knowledge. So the lowest is intuition. Intuitively, okay, this is the way I should go ahead. You did not logically think about it. You did not analyze that, oh, because I have done this and this and this in past, let me do this and this and this now. No logical conclusion was there, but a knowing was there that told you that, okay, let me go this way. Let me do it this way. So intuitive knowledge is there. And then comes the knowledge in unity. In any case, the senses are no longer avenues of knowledge. So usually how knowledge is coming to me is that, okay, since I can touch and feel and see and hear, I know, right? I know a place because I have touched it, I have felt it, I have seen it. So through my senses, I have a knowing, I have a knowledge. But he says that here, knowledge is not coming from the sense mind. In any case, the senses are no longer avenues of knowledge. It comes directly. It's a direct knowledge because you made the receptacle inside the mind ready. It comes directly. And finally, he says, as he was sharing the successive stages, finally, Purusha reveals himself as Ishvara, the Lord, governing and acting through his instruments. He at last takes his kingdom in his hand. So this is what has to happen with each one of us. As in Savitri, Sri Aurobindo says that someone who is king and living like a beggar, that's our condition right now. But slowly through life experiences, through realizations, through practical whatever knowledge, our blows of life, we come to a chance that the Purusha comes totally in front and it takes the charge of the being. Now he is the Lord, not the outer movements and circumstances. Yeah. So let us go a little bit further. We can take reflection, so feel free to share also at any point of time. You can unmute and share or ask. Yes, Sardaji?
Yeah, Monica, this Purusha, what Sri Aurobindo is talking about is the psychic being.
Yes, you can say, because when we step back and we are in that witnessing consciousness, that is what actually leads us to the psychic being.
Okay.
And at times, Sri Aurobindo also equates both of them. So he uses actually the word Purusha when he uses at times psychic being. So it goes together. They are not separate.
Okay.
So we will see that when we are more and more able to be the consciousness that is aware of things, and not like leaping at appearances, like, oh, let me be right, let me be the foremost and be the first here. So when we stop just leaping out and we contain ourselves within and take that witnessing stance, that is the way how we can slowly get in touch with the psychic being. So yes. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
We will see that it's very hard at times to contain this energy that wants to leap out at something, let me speak, let me be right in this matter. So this is very hard to stop and restrain ourselves. It does not mean that, witnessing does not mean that all the time we are just passively witnessing. Although in the beginning, there may come a phase where we take a passive stance. But as Sri Aurobindo shares that there are successive stages. So one may have taken a passive stance for some time, but then with witnessing consciousness, you also have the dynamic action that comes. So consciousness force. That day we were reading that silent will, that there is an active dynamic will. So it's not that you stop saying wherever something is happening wrong, you would say, no, I am the witness and I can't say. No, it's not like that. Although a phase may come where you take a passive stance, but otherwise, because in the witness also there is not a dumbness, there is a knowing. I'm not dumb when I am a witness. I know, I see, I discern. Achha, this emotion is a good one, I can follow it. This emotion is a negative one, it's coming out of from my ego consciousness, I should not be following it. So this discernment is also there in that knowing and consciousness, witnessing consciousness. But it's like, successively these stages happen, they kind of are revealed.
Yeah. We have phase that we know what is this. Baby step.
Yes, exactly. So when, for example, very simple example is you are working on yourself and you see the ripple of anger come.
Yeah.
And which is an older trigger. Habitually you have become angry at this matter again and again. It's an older trigger. But now you can see anger rising and you can choose not to follow the anger. This is what he was sharing. Refusal to follow the dictate of a certain emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is actually very interesting,
Yeah.
to see how we react generally,
Hmm.
and how we should not and how we want to change. Each and every incident we are able to see how is our old patterns and how always we get angry or upset. It is really beautiful. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
yeah. And I think as we see this, all these happenings within ourselves, and we see ourselves falling a prey again and again to all these negative emotions, I think that also create a lot of empathy for people around, because that is how all the people are. Just like I am finding it so difficult to stop myself from, following the dictates of the ego. That's how happens with everyone. So what is the difference between me and the other person? So we are all on the same ground. So the more we know ourselves intimately, I think it by side effect, compassion or empathy is there. Yeah. Anything more here?
Is what I get, Pavitra Das life, for example. So the idea was to connect how he was using these kind of concepts in day-to-day life. I can observe what I saw that he appeared to be a very kind of balanced person, and coming from a background which is basically engineering background, he's a logical people. But then getting adjusted to new roles also, adaptation, for example. First starting as a workshop for the car maintenance, etc. Then he shifted. That means different roles he adapted very easily. That probably some learning, probably what I was trying to understand, because it's not easy, for such lateral shift in the role. Then probably it was happening in his case. So this is one learning I see from whatever concept we are discussing. Maybe in him the so-called Purush was active probably. The point is this: it is, see, there are very few people who are guided by the so-called psychic self, because majority is basically driven by sensory perceptions. With that perspective, I can say that this kind of what you showed few slides, few kind of videos, that is one thing probably at least I can take as a takeaway, like know how to get adapted to new roles with in a seamless way, something like that. And also kind of first thing is getting bigger from smaller to big one. Like it started as a small workshop, then it grew up the same thing, then it changed the role. This is something which is, I would say, one inspiration from what I saw from this idea. I think this kind of sessions are more focused on picking up learning points from those personalities. Otherwise, theory is theory, See, the kind of this, see, the enough literature there, but then this is probably, this is my takeaway from this, because I would say a good concept, because people, when we go over the real, particular, we have not seen, but he was there very well, then it helps. The concept is good. I think you can also take some Indians, he was like, I think, who would decide? He was basically a French person, then became Pavitra Da. Yeah, I'm telling because what happens, psychic. I know either ashram has got a kind of wide variety of people, but then sometimes what happens, connecting is easier if we find somebody coming, there are people who are from countries ashram, I think so, who have kind of changed. Like I think Mr. Johar, I think Tara Johar's father, I heard that he was a very big businessman. I heard it, and this kind of personality. This is also one way to good start. And I would only say just we should try to pick up. It's not easy for everybody, but then at least this kind of case studies do help in kind of as a kind of reminder. Is what I get from this. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yes. We had earlier taken up, we started with Champak Lalji. And then, of course, we cannot complete everything that in their life, we can't touch. But it's like, these sessions are just windows to open us to those personalities, to, as you were sharing, that we take inspiration, draw inspiration from them, whatever takeaway that we can get. So we opened that window for all of us that, okay, this is, Champak Lalji. We read a little bit about him and, saw some photographs and all that, got inspired by his writings, his paintings. And then, of course, we ended because we can't continue with one personality. It's just too much, even in one. So then we started with Rishabh Chandji after Champak Lalji. And this third one is Pavitra Da. And again, it's again a little window, and then, of course, up to our own silent sadhana that we want to, whatever, if we want to read in detail about them.
You can also pick up some living people also.
Yes,
There
yes.
are some people-
I was thinking of
Yeah.
picking up Tara Didi, but I thought
Yeah, that is one thing. Yeah.
we will definitely do that. Yes, thank you. Yes, we will do that. Anything more?
No, we
Anyone?
can meet. No, we can meet living people. There is a difference, no?
Exactly.
Validation is possible.
I have the blessing to meet her every day. I am working with
Oh.
her in the ashram. So, yes, I would like to take her up also, and her father, as you said. Both of them very inspirational personalities. We'll take them. So, yeah. Let's take a little bit more, not much, and then we can wind up today. So again, something very, very important for us, how again, as we were talking about the witnessing, stepping back from the flow of Prakriti, the thoughts and feelings and sensations. So man recognizes his mind, his emotions, and his body as not himself. So neti, not me, not me, not me. We are doing the neti so that we can step back and disentangle ourselves from all that turmoil that is there 24/7. He feels himself existing above them, above the spatial and temporal form. He has peace and certitude. To reach this, the first thing is to stop the thoughts at will. This is what we try to do. For example, all this practice that we do of mindfulness, mindful bringing the mind to the breath, say staying it, keeping it with the breath for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 minutes at will. That the mind, whenever it goes into the thoughts, you again bring it back, you again bring it back. So slowly, 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 we develop that kind of a control over the mind, which so far is not there. Because we see that if mind is disturbed, something has happened in our life, and we want to now focus, again and again that thing will keep coming to us, and we will not be able to disengage from them. So we don't have a mastery over our mind, no matter we may be very big people in our life, it doesn't matter, but still the mind is the ruler. So he says that first we keep stepping back from all the movement of the mind, the surface mind, and take the stance in the spiritual mind. He feels himself existing above them. I can see my thoughts, I can see my feelings, I can see the sensations of the body, but I am not them. He is stepping back, not himself. He feels himself existing above them, above the spatial and temporal form. So that which happens in space and time, I am above that. He has peace and certitude. And to reach this, the first thing is to stop the thoughts at will. Now, this is part of our sadhana, we cannot negate it. To be able to stop thoughts at will. That maybe something disturbing has happened in the life, and now I want to concentrate on something else because it is just too disturbing if I remain entangled there. Then I have the capacity that if I will, that no, I will now not think about it, I will be able to do that. we can ask ourselves whether that is true for us or we need practice and we can continue our practice. So to reach this, the first thing is to stop thoughts at will. One must first separate oneself mentally from the mind. One must first separate oneself mentally from the mind, for one is not yet capable of doing it otherwise. So he says, let it be a mental endeavor that you are stepping back in mind, but do it. Do that disentanglement. So one must first separate oneself mentally from the mind, must look at it and study it. That how do I keep going in again and again in the slippery slopes? When I try to take stance as the consciousness, the witnessing consciousness, how is it that, how it happens? You see the functioning of mind, that thoughts will keep coming, crowding, and again, as if you are, something as a, like a slippery slope, you have the chance again to go there, again to go there, again to go there. So that happens throughout 24/7 if you are very observant. You will see that how our old habitual patterns rule. Because I have been thinking and feeling like that for the past few years, so when I am taking now stance as the witnessing consciousness, it does not let me be. It gives me a sweet like a chocolate and lures me, attracts me, so that I begin to think about it again. So again and again that attraction will come to you, but you will have to refuse and again take stance as the witnessing consciousness. So this is how we can, one example of how we look at it, that how these lures and attractions are coming, that, oh, I am very important, think about me, and we begin to fall into again slippery slope without again stepping back. So then he says, when that is done, it becomes easy to stop the thought. When we are mentally stepping back and stopping the thoughts at will, that we can set a time for ourselves, that okay, for these 10 minutes I will just chant the mother's name and I will not think about anything else. This is a training that we give ourselves. Or for these 10 minutes I will just bring my mind again and again to the breath and not get lost in the thoughts. Thoughts will come, but I will not get lost. So this is how we can tame the mind. When that is done, it becomes easy to stop the thought, and this is the first lesson of yoga. We are all at the first lesson, which is getting too delayed for us, continuing, doing the first class again and again. But at least we are doing something, so good. So this sitting down and opening oneself to the influx from above, again in conversations with Pavitrada, we also have many glimpses of that how one can station consciousness above and allow the descent to happen so that this working may be accomplished from above without any personal effort. So the only effort that you are doing is that you're sitting and taking the time out for it and placing the attention where it needs to be. Until this first realization, everything is mental and intuition is only fragmentary. So we have only glimpses where we are intuitively able to make decisions in our life, but still we are using a lot of logic and reason all the time, since we again and again the curtain of mind comes in front, and that to us appears more helpful than the intuitive knowledge. So intuition is only fragmentary and uncertain and intermittent. One must go beyond. And then he says, so we can go through this again, that in integral yoga, Sri Aurobindo, Mother both have said that the force descends from above when the being is ready, and that is a very safe process when from above the force is descending and opening the centers from above rather than from below, which happens in the other form of yoga. So he says that it happens now from above when we are able to separate ourselves uh, at will from the surface mind, but on the contrary, on from above. So the first aim to separate yourself from your mind and know it as outside you, to take the attitude of the witness. Now, how clearly it has been said, and it's like a straight teaching on our face it is coming, and even then if we can find all justifications not to practice it, then it's up to us. So the first aim to separate yourself from your mind and know it as outside you, to take the attitude of the witness. Let the thoughts come, but do not let yourself be carried away by them. So this is what we try to do when we are sitting meditating, or throughout the day when we are again and again taking the witnessing stance. The moment we try to get lost in the thoughts, again we bring ourselves back to the consciousness which is aware, taking stance as awareness. So again and again we have to continue. It's a very slippery slope, because the moment you slip, you slip. It's like it can't be, it's very subtle. You can't really kind of place your feet firmly there for a very, very long time. It takes time. This process of stabilizing takes a lot of time. To take the attitude of the witness, let the thoughts come, but do not let yourself be carried away by them. So again, this is also very, very important, because in the beginning you are not able to do it throughout the day. We all know that. So it's very good to designate a specific time, like 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, in the evening, wherever, whatever suits anyone. And then slowly, as we get a hang of it, then he says, first you have to practice during meditation time, when you have just sitting and doing your meditations, or lying down, or that whatever. Then you will have to do the same stance, has to be infused into daily life, what you establish first in meditation. So this is also very important, that we may just be very heroic and brave, and we may think, oh, I don't need to sit for meditation, I can just do it just like that. But at times it's very rare that it happens like that with anyone. So it's a way of procrastinating the required effort that may be required or demanded of us. So we must, if we see that in 24/7 of the day I'm not able to take that witnessing stance, I need separate time. If you feel that need of a separate time to stabilize that stance, we must do it. And then it has to be infused in the whole of life. So just the last bit of this.
I find the best arena to practice this is with family members, loved ones, children, parents. I find with my mother and my father especially, practicing patience is one thing. With them, I think somewhere in me, it's like taking for granted. क्या होगा? कुछ भी बोल दूंगा. But then, like you said, um, the witnessing consciousness starts to notice that, okay, so look here, you are practicing to be patient everywhere, but the most important place to practice is here, because this is the most comfort zone, the most comfortable zone. And here, if I can practice and I can, work it out, then it will really help, because yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yes, beautiful. Yes. So I am suggesting that maybe next time, I don't know what will happen next time, but we can take up conversations, excerpts from conversations with Sri Aurobindo by Pavitra, because just a few bits we can take. I'll find out what are the bits we can take and take for reflection and also for practice, because what he shares in those is most of it is practice. So he had a very solid and stable vital. His vital was very calm. That is why he could be of so much help to the mother and children. Usually, we are so much in the influence of the vital that half of the game is just gone, because you are just trying to train the vital itself. So his vital was very quiet from the very beginning, and that really helped. But his mental was a lot kind of chaotic, and it was mostly that he was able to. He was kind of struggling with the questions, all of that. That he was too much activity in the mental, but vital was very settled and ready for work. Lots of energy to be given at the service of the children. So that's a suggestion that we can take up next time, from next time. So any last comments before we end, anyone? Alright, so if not anything, let's take a moment of silence to dedicate and share all the merit we may have accumulated individually, collectively, because of reading, reflection, sharing it and dedicating it to all the sentient beings near and far. May all of us have peace in the heart and lots of progress, strength, and joy in our life. may we all have the courage and the strength required to keep practicing, taking everything on the path. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Monica. Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
guys. Thank you all.